The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we're coming to you live from the Warner Center in Woodland Hills, California. It's Thursday and we've got a big show for you. We're going to be with you live for the next 2 hours. As I said, we're in Woodland Hills. This is the home for the Center for Autism and Related Disorders and also the home for Autism Live. And for the next 2 hours, we're going to be looking at autism from a 360-degree perspective, and we're going to be asking you to come on this ride with us and interact with us. Because this entire program is meant to be interactive. We want to hear from you. We want to know your thoughts, your feelings, your concerns, your questions, your epiphanies, because I know that you guys have epiphanies and sometimes they help the rest of us if you share. So Samantha is going to show you some of the different ways that you can connect with us here on the show, while I remind you that our homepage is autism-live.com. There's many things to do on that homepage, but one of the things that you can do when you get to, and by the way, we're in the middle of a retool on the website, so you know, soon, I hope, fingers crossed, you're going to start to see some different things, and we're going to make it available for you on the homepage to sort through types of videos, because we've heard what you guys have said that you'd like, and so it's going to start to look more like that. But in the meantime, right now it's a computer screen, and if you click on the computer screen, you can be watching the live show or the most recently recorded live show. In the upper left-hand corner of that screen is a little memo tab. If you click on that, you can watch the 100 most recent episodes, all from that homepage. If you want to go back further in the archives, or you do want to search a topic right now, you will need to go to YouTube to do that. We are also available, as Samantha is showing you, on iTunes, Roku, Stitcher, and many other places. Now, to the side of the live feature is something to the side of where you can watch the show, the computer screen, is what we call the live feature. That's where you put your cursor in that white box that says your questions, and you type and you hit enter. There is no login, there's no username, there's no password, there's no survey that you have to fill out. You don't have to give a credit card. It's all free. It's all anonymous, unless you choose for it to not be anonymous. And sometimes you guys write and give us an address where you can be written back to. That's fine. I won't share that with the audience at home. That's our promise to you. But in any case, it's all free, and but you do have to remember to hit enter. And when you do, it shows up here on my screen. You and I can have a conversation in almost real time. There is a little bit of a delay to it. But I think more important than talking to me, you get an opportunity to talk to our experts. And I do like to start every show by reminding you that we have wonderful experts that donate their time to come and be on the show, but do not confuse me with the experts, right? I'm an autism mom, I'm a former teacher, and I have a great passion for making sure that we all get the resources and the support that we need in the autism community, whether we're parents, teachers, practitioners, individuals who are on the autism spectrum. You know, there are things that we need to know, there are resources that we need to, and for the individuals who are on the spectrum, there are supports that are very individualized what they need. It's not one size fits all at all. So I have a passion for helping us all to make sure that we get to those resources and that we get the information that we need to be successful at reaching progress. But not an expert, just really passionate about it. I'm learning like everybody else as we go, but not an expert. So don't confuse. Sometimes I have a very strident voice, as my son tells me, that I make it sound like I know everything. I don't know much, in fact. But so don't get confused. Even if I sound adamant about it, I'm not the expert. That's why we have the experts come in. All right. We like to start every morning with something we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym. We try to figure out what does it mean so that we get closer to having some expertise in this field, but it can be overwhelming. So we give you the actual definition, and then we make fun of that sometimes, and then we give you a working definition that makes the BCBAs break out into hives. There's some jargon for you already, BCBA. But that's not the jargon of the day. The jargon of the day, first time ever, ladies and gentlemen, unveiling it now, BCAT. What? New jargon? Okay, here we go. This is going to be, I think, really pivotal for all of us to understand what a BCAT is, but it's going to mean we're going to talk more about other jargon. But let's take a look first at what our actual definition for BCAT is. BCAT stands for Board Certified Autism Technician or Technicians. All right, if you haven't heard this term before, it's because it's relatively new. I think this is about almost 2 years old. And you are going to hear this much more. So fasten your seatbelts. Let's take a look at what our working definition. A BCAT is an autism-specific credentialed, it's a credential given after training, experience, and a rigorous exam. So back in the day, let's do the history lesson, right? History of autism. Back in the day, there was no certification for people working in the field of autism. But as ABA became the gold standard of autism treatment, there is something called the BACB. And they are a credentialing place that created something called the Board Certified Behavior Analyst. These are people who are trained in the field of ABA. But guess what? The field of ABA is not just autism. Autism is a part of it, and it is a growing part of it, but ABA has been around a really long time, and they've been using it for lots of different things. We've talked before on the show about how ABA is used in businesses. It's used with Olympic athletes. It's used in senior citizens' homes. It's a way, it's been found scientifically proven to be the most effective method of teaching all kinds of people, not just people on the autism spectrum. But it just so happens that when used with people with autism, it's very effective. So the BACB created a credential for a board-certified behavior analyst, and we have been for years telling people if you're going to be working with somebody, you should check to see that the person that is designing your program is a BCBA, right? But what about the people who, that's the person designing the program. What about the people who are actually doing the hands-on, day-to-day, minute-by-minute therapy with a child on the autism spectrum? This has been something that for the last no longer than that, I think more than probably 8 years, has been hotly debated. And it kind of goes in cycles depending on a couple of different things. Funding sources say, hey, if we're going to pay for this, then we want to make sure that it's somebody who actually knows what they're doing. We don't want to pay Joe Schmo from off the street to come in and supposedly do ABA with this kiddo on the autism spectrum that we're paying for, but does he really know what he's doing? We covered a story last week about somebody in London claiming that he could cure autism and going into a room with people and yelling at them, right? Nobody wants that, right? So funding sources have been asking for people to find a way to credential people to actually work in the field of autism, ABA, doing ABA for autism. Let's say that about it. But then what about the parents? Parents have been saying, excuse me, you're bringing somebody into my house. I want to know that they know what they're doing. I want to know that they're trained, and you know, I want to have some confidence in the fact that my kid is not, you know, the first kid that they've ever dealt with, and this is, you know, all new to them. And in between, I think, you know, states and governments have been looking at this saying, we'd like to have some confidence in recommending to families, whether it's for Medicaid or other purposes, that, you know, you're going to get this service. We want to know that there's a level of what's happening. that we can count on that people are trained and effective. So one of the first things that happened was an RBT, and we've covered that here on the show before. It's a registered behavior technician. And when you are an RBT, that means that you have been trained to understand ABA and how to deliver ABA. And that's a great thing. And I encourage parents that are out there and teachers that are out there. It's a 40-hour training that anybody can do, and you do take tests. But to become an RBT, and that is a credentialed thing as well. But the problem with it for ABA for autism is that it still wasn't autism specific. So now there is this new credential that is autism specific. So it is very intensive training in the field of ABA for autism, which is a pretty exciting thing, but it includes other things within that as well. And so first there's training, and then there's there's an hours requirement of working in the field of autism and being observed and being mentored, and then you have to pass the exam. I can tell you that I have been through almost all of the RBT training. I have been through a significant amount of the BCAT training, and I have taken the BCAT exam and passed the BCAT exam. I have not done the prerequisite number of hours to be considered and credentialed as a BCAT because I'm here. But I might do it, and I really want to encourage the parents that are watching. Well, let's back up. Teachers, parents, family members, even people who are on the autism spectrum. I want to encourage you to look at this and say, what would this benefit me if I were to go through this training? Well, first of all, if you're a parent or a teacher, your ability to work with the individual that you care about on the spectrum is going to go through the roof. Through the roof. Your ability to work with the professionals that are working on that child's case and to communicate them what that child needs, through the roof, right? You're going to streamline everything because as you understand and as you're able to follow through, tight program, there's going to be good progress. But not only that, if you take the time to and I would encourage you to do both, do the RBT and do the BCAT, you are now a credentialed professional and have the ability to work in lots of different scenarios. It's a job skill. It is an amazing job skill that will serve you well. I will be honest that these certifications did not exist when my son was in his intensive ABA. And here's the other great thing about it is that a lot of this can be done on your own time at home through e-learning. Certainly not the hours component of the BCAT, but if things had been different and these had existed when we were doing our intensive behavioral intervention, I would have run, not walked, to have done these trainings, to have made my son's program better, and to have something to count for it. As it is, I think a lot of us went and did the equivalent and didn't get certified. I'd love to have that certification for the things that I've done. So I want to encourage all of you to be asking questions, first of all, of the people who are working on your cases. Are you BCBAs? Are you RBTs? Are you BCATs? Are you working towards that? But I really want to encourage you to get this yourself. I can highly recommend ibehavioraltraining.com. The Institute for Behavioral Training has all of we talk about this all the time with Dr. Grant-Bichet. They have trainings for professionals, they have trainings for parents, they have trainings for teachers. But they also have the very specific criteria to become an RBT or to become a BCAT, to take that training to get ready to sit for the exam. The exam is given, I think, 4 times of the year throughout the year, and it's not an easy exam, but I passed it, so I'm sure that you guys can if you do the coursework that goes before it. And really, what will happen is the coursework will make you a better parent, make you a better teacher, make you a better person able to understand other people's behavior. It's worth it, and it's not very expensive at all. The trainings are very inexpensive. It's a lot less than taking one college class. So there you go. BCAT. I know it sounds like a Halloween costume. It's not. It's a very new credential that is going to help insurance companies have faith in the fact that, and parents have faith in the fact that the individuals who are working with our kiddos are trained and know their stuff. They're professionals. It's a really good thing. Check it out. All right, moving on. We have a question of the day for you. We're going to get right to it here. Our question for you today, because we're going to talk about some stuff that's making the top of my head fly off and fly around the room. Get ready. What autism services should insurance cover? Now, I know you're probably thinking, Shannon, we answered this question. We're done with this. We know that autism services should be covered by insurance. Well, in the vast majority of the states here in the United States, it is, but guess what? The conversation is not over because we don't have it. We don't have a federal mandate, first of all. And second of all, within the states, all the rules are different state to state. And then insurance company to insurance company, the rules are different. They have something called the temporary insurance codes, and some people are covering some things, and other insurance companies are not covering it. And here's my question for you. Should the insurance companies decide what they cover, or should someone else? Great question, right? But first, let's start with what autism services should be covered. A little bit later on in the program, as I said, the top of my head is going to fly off and fly around the room. Next up, though, we always have a topic for the week. It's like a Russian roulette here. What is the topic of the week going to be? But this is something we talk about all the time, about how the playing field is not level. If you live in Kansas, it's not the same if you are a parent of a child on the autism spectrum, what services you can get as if you were in Wyoming. And it's not the same as if you're in New York or in California. I don't understand why that would be. If somebody can explain that to me, why that makes good sense, I would love to hear someone try to explain that to me. But, I said something on the show yesterday, and then I thought, oh, am I really listening to what I said? Because I was saying, don't wait around for somebody else to do it. I'm naming you the person to do it, and I don't remember what the thing was that, to train the police in your neighborhood. And I really thought about that last night and was thinking, boy, am I doing my part to make sure that we level the playing field? And am I encouraging all of you to level the playing field? Because it's going to come from us. I know, I've been waiting for someone else, some politician, to step up and go, we're going to do this. And I just don't think that's going to happen. I think it's up to us. I think we, as the autism community, as parents, as teachers, as individuals who are on the spectrum, we're going to have to step up, and we've got to level the playing field. And when I say level the playing field, it means equal opportunities for all individuals who are on the autism spectrum. It doesn't mean that one size fits all, right? And I always go back to that cartoon that I refer to that about the difference between equality and justice, and it shows the three kids sitting there, and there's a curtain that's up that's separating them from a track meet, and it shows equality first, and it shows that one kid is taller, so he can see over the curtain and has a perfect view. And the next kid is a little bit shorter, so the top of the curtain cuts off his eye line, so he's not able to see everything. And then there's one kiddo who's shorter and he can't see anything. Well, that's equality. And that doesn't work. Equality, right? But then we see a picture of justice. And justice is that the kiddo who can see over and doesn't need any support to see over is standing there, and he's not getting any support because he doesn't need any. But the kiddo that it cuts him off at his eye line gets a little bit of a riser so that he can step up on this wooden crate. And once he steps up on that wooden crate, he can see everything. He's got the same opportunities as the kiddo who was taller. And then for the kiddo who was the shortest, he's got a more sizable crate to stand on. But once he does, he now has the vista that everybody else has. That is justice. And so when I talk about leveling the playing field, I'm not talking about equality. I'm talking about justice. Let's give everybody the support that they need so that everybody can have an opportunity. That's all that it's about, an opportunity. And we all know It's not that way right now. So we're going to be talking about that, especially in the second hour. Now, today on today's show, we're really excited because in just a minute, we're going to have Nicole Simpson is going to be with us. She is an amazing person working at CARD, working in recruitment. That's right. She's hiring. And we're going to have her talk about the kinds of jobs that they're hiring, but most in particular, we need more therapists in this field of ABA and most especially at CARD. And you might be looking for a job, or you might know somebody who's looking for a job. And we've all got to band together to make this happen, right? So, because that's part of how we're going to level the playing field. And then a little bit later on in the show, we're starting a new segment here on the show. We haven't really come up with a name for it yet, but we all need legal advice from time to time, and it can get very expensive just asking questions to figure out, where do I start? How do I do this? So Bonnie Yates, who is an amazing attorney specializing in special education, she's an autism mom with a kiddo who has recovered, and we've featured here on this show, and they are featured in the DVD Recovered. She is going to be with us, and each week at the 45-minute marker in the first hour, she or someone from her law firm will be joining us to answer questions from you guys. We are going to take the questions ahead of time, but you can be writing in each week. So that's part of what's going on. And then in the second hour, we're really going to pare down what's happening with insurance. Don't worry, I'm not going to make it any more boring than it has to be, and we'll see if we can't find something reinforcing for you at the end. All right, it's time for us to take a short break, and then when we come back, Nicole Simpson's going to be here, and we're going to talk about jobs in the field of autism. Get ready, get your mental Rolodex out so that you can be thinking about who do you know that would fit one of these jobs. Stick with us right back after these messages.
I'm very excited to be here at Denim and Diamonds. This is a fantastic night, supported by so many incredible people, and to see the kind of change and the kind of help that's being given.
It's kind of like going to the Oscars, and it's just been growing ever since, and we're overwhelmed at the support from the community.
I first want to thank everybody for coming out and really helping this Denims and Diamonds fundraiser, because autism has affected so many people, and the work that they've been doing is just off the charts and just wonderful.
As a mom, I'm grateful that I was managed to get the intervention for my daughter when she was young. So it's important to see that all kids can get the same type of intervention.
You with the side eyes, don't be discouraged, oh I realize it's hard to take courage in a
We're just thrilled to be able to raise funds for things that are so vital, you know, like safety equipment, helmets, or fences so the kids don't run away, or iPads so they can learn to communicate.
There's still so much more to do, and we're here to lend our little hand and make this thing a global thing.
And welcome everybody to our 5K, 10K run and family festival.
So the act today for Military Families Run and Festival is a race that benefits military children with autism. So we help a lot of the families around the country whose parents serve in the military.
I'm an autism mom, but also a military wife, and I'm so excited to be here at ACT Today's 6th annual run. I've never missed one. It's something that really helps this situation. Is fabulous because there's no other organization like it.
San Diego has some of the highest concentration of military in the country, if not the world, and a lot of my friends are military and are affected by autism disorder. And so for me to do some little thing to the people that protect our freedoms is important.
It's hard enough to parent a kiddo with autism. Can you imagine parenting a child when you move on average every 2 years, you have a parent member deployed or in training? Our kids don't like change. These kids are subject to constant change.
My name's Tom Leahy. I am president of One Hope Wine. We are the title sponsor of the 6th annual ACT Today Family Festival. We have been the title sponsor every single year, which we're very proud of. We've worked with ACT Today for 9 years, which we are also very proud of.
My name is Megan Martin. I'm a licensed and certified genetic counselor at Lineagen, and we provide genetic testing. Lineagen are strong supporters of all families with autism, but particularly families in the military.
Double stroller, so he should get double the amount of applause.
Hey, my name is Yard Connor. I am in the United States Navy stationed here at Navy Information Operations Command, San Diego. I am a first-class petty officer and been here for 3 years so far. This event is important to me. Growing up in a family, my baby sister has Down syndrome. And just living through that and being 17 years older than she is, understand the importance of family, understand the importance of how everybody is important to what we do here, not only in our country, but what we do throughout the world.
For the 10K, here at the top, female. Here we go. First place with a time of 42. Arciga, Bueno. Good job. And third place, Alex Rodriguez.
Go to acttoday4militaryfamilies.org and help our military families impacted by autism.
5K, red bibs are the 10K. Here comes some more finishers.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm really excited because I think this is the first time that we are having you here on the show. Have we ever had you on before?
I've never been on.
Well, we've been remiss because this, my friends, is Nicole Simpson, and she is an amazing person working here at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. Tell us, first of all, what's your official title? This is like, and things change, but this week, what's your official title?
My official title this week is recruiting manager.
Okay, and that's a pretty all-encompassing thing because there's a lot of hiring that happens at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, especially right now. Has there ever been a time when there's been more I don't remember a time when there's been more hiring going on than right now. This is pretty intense.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. I joined the recruiting. Anna Marie De Leon was doing it by herself.
And she's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
We had talked about bringing her in too, but we said we were going to save her and have her come on another time.
Yeah.
But she's another amazing person working in this arena. So she was doing it by herself, and then they said,
Yeah.
you got to. But you know, I sort of feel like you're a person at CARD that. You're like a great shortstop, you know,
Yeah,
where
that's how it's been. Yeah.
right? That, and does everybody know what I mean in terms of that, about like, you know, the person that is just well-rounded, can do so many things, and when you see a need and you go, we need somebody in there who can whip this up and get this and motivate people, and they go, oh, let's send Nicole in, right?
That's pretty much what happened, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're on the job now for recruitment because there's a big need, and not that Anna Marie wasn't doing a great job, but it was a more than a one-person job.
Yeah, I mean, for a while it was just her and I recruiting for the offices, and then not all the offices were. Some of the offices were doing their own recruiting.
Yeah.
And then eventually we took over all the offices, and then we started hiring a team of recruiters. So now we're a team of 15, and Anna Marie and I.
And I got to meet all these other people on the team in the last couple of weeks, and let me just say that they are some amazing people. They're really,
Yeah, they're good.
They're kind, they're considerate, they're caring. They really, and I put that out there because I know I've been talking to parents the last couple of days about this is always the thing, and it doesn't matter whether it's at CARD or at any other ABA provider. There just aren't enough therapists. This is a reality. I remember on day one when I started therapy more than 10 years ago for my son, there weren't enough therapists. This is an ongoing issue because as autism, more and more people are being diagnosed, there just aren't enough. You know, it's not as if people sat around and went, oh, let's not hire. That isn't the case, but there is just a growing and growing need. And now that we have as much funding source from different places, including insurance, it's an explosion. Yeah. This is a job field that is exploding. So let's talk a little bit about what the job is, because more than anything, there are a lot of jobs you have people applying for and that you need to fill, but I think, tell me if I'm wrong, the biggest job you need to fill right now is therapist.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are the qualifications that somebody needs to have walking in off the street to be considered for the job?
Okay, well, they need a high school diploma.
Okay.
They need to meet the availability requirements.
And is that different in different locations, different in different offices, or is it pretty general?
Sometimes it varies, but standard across the board, they need to be available late afternoons into the evenings, 3 days a week, and on weekends.
Okay, because it makes a certain amount of sense. It's when the kiddos are going to be available to do therapy. And since we have some kiddos that need therapy in the morning, but the lion's share of the kids have to go to school.
Correct.
So once school is out, they need a ton of people to be doing therapy, and they need to have some availability to do it on the weekends.
That's correct.
But even though it's evenings, there's a period of time when the office shuts down. So I like to remind, especially our college students that are watching, that, you know, if you're somebody who you've got a very active social life and you have things that you want to do, nobody's doing therapy after 8 o'clock. The kiddos go to bed, right? And if you're somebody who you know, right now, maybe you're working at Starbucks, and Starbucks has you working on Saturday night and closing at 1 o'clock in the morning, and you know, it's a drag, and you're cleaning out pots, and later on when you go to apply for jobs and you put, yes, I worked at Starbucks and I closed at 1 o'clock in the morning, the people you're applying for are gonna go, that's swell, but that doesn't help you with what we're looking for. Right. Whereas, if you're a therapist, you know, even I don't think there's much therapy going on Saturday night. I think a lot of times it's over before 8 o'clock.
Typical hours for Saturday are between the hours of 9 to 5.
There you go, 9 to 5 on Saturdays, and probably same thing on Sunday. So you know, you're working during the day, and you've got time off on the weekends at night. You got your Friday night, you got your Saturday night, you got your Sunday to get ready for classes, but at the end, you've got a job that on your resume, every single job you apply for the rest of your life, they're going to say to you, oh, you worked with kiddos with autism? And they go, oh, because that tells us worlds about you. tells us that you're somebody who's patient, problem solving, you've got some real skills.
Exactly.
So much better than Starbucks. Okay.
Yeah.
So I am going to let you talk at some point. But anyway, okay, so you got to have some availability. What else? You got to have the high school diploma. Do you have to be in college?
No, you do not have to be in college.
But I imagine that if somebody is in college, this, I think, because I've met so many therapists that are in college doing this, that they can take their classes in the morning, or in the early afternoon and have that availability. It's kind of the perfect job for a college student,
really
isn't
is.
it?
It really is. The majority of our therapists that come in are college students.
Okay. What else do you have to have walking in off the door?
Reliable transportation.
Okay. You gotta have a way to get where you're going to. Do they have to have a car, or can they take buses?
Depending on the area. Some of the offices, like the New York offices, we are okay with them taking the bus.
Okay. Or the subway or whatever.
Exactly.
Okay. So anything else that they have to have walking in off the door?
No, those are the basic requirements.
But I'm sure that once you then start to talk to them, there are things that are more of a plus. And we should mention, because I think it's an implied thing, but at a certain point, if they are being hired, they also have to have a clean criminal record. They can't have anything in terms of that, because we only want fine, upstanding citizens working with our kiddos.
Yeah, they do have to pass a background check.
Right.
Which is fingerprinting, and then they have to do their TB as well.
Okay. There we go. So all of those things, just because I know parents are like, really, you'll take anybody? That's not the case. But what we're trying to point out here is that you don't have to already have a degree in psychology. I think a lot of people think, oh, I can't be an ABA therapist because I haven't taken a single psychology class. I don't have the degree. I can't do that. But that's not the case, because you actually give training.
Correct. And the training is a paid training.
Did everybody hear that? Let's go back over that. So for those of you who have students that are in college and they need to have a good job, this is a paid training. And can I just say that when it's the training from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, it is the best available training that there is. I mean, hands down.
I agree.
So, if this is a field that excites you at all, and maybe you think, oh, well, I'm working towards, I want to be the BCBA, make sure that you get your training from CARD. This is the place where, and everybody knows it, honestly. No, seriously. I mean, I talk to a lot of ABA providers, and I don't want to make it sound like CARD is the only ABA provider out there that's doing good quality work. That isn't the case, but the training that is available at CARD is unlike anybody else's, and that's widely accepted and known throughout ABA. So come, but I also think that it's important to note that people can't just come and get the training and leave. That's not what this is about. You make a commitment in order to get the paid training that you will, do this job and do this to the best of your ability for, a period of time.
We like them to make a year commitment.
There we go. Okay. But having said that, somebody might go, oh, well, I'm willing to work a year doing this, but, I also want to travel. Are there opportunities for people, if they start working at CARD, at some point to travel and go other places?
Definitely. There are opportunities to travel to different CARD offices and work at those offices for a temporary amount of time.
Which is awesome, you guys. So for those of you who have the college students I have a friend who wrote to me that we have to hook you up with that has a college student in Boston and wants a job while he's working in Boston, but dad wants him to be able to come back and be in San Diego during the summer. And I'm thinking that's probably something that could happen.
Sure, we could work something out with him.
Love it. Okay, so these are the things that you have to do. Where do you have to go if you're interested in applying for a job?
The CARD website.
Okay, and which is centerforautism.com.
The careers tab.
Okay.
They can apply directly on there. We have postings on Indeed.
Okay.
Or they could call us directly.
Okay. But I'm sure the next thing that people are thinking is, well, you know, Shannon, I know the show gets done in Los Angeles and I live in XYZ. So this isn't just in Los Angeles that they're looking for therapists.
Oh, all over the country.
Okay.
Right now we have 90 offices.
Yes. And more coming.
Yes.
And even outside of the offices, there are opportunities for jobs as well that are places that don't yet have offices but have kiddos who need therapy.
That is correct. We hire for those areas as well.
So pretty much, I think it's worthwhile if you are looking for a job or you know somebody who's looking for a job, start the process and see. Because if there isn't a job right now where you are, I would guarantee you that in the next year there will be.
Yeah.
Because CARD,
I believe so.
CARD wants to be everywhere because there are kiddos with autism everywhere. And I should point out, too, that it isn't all just kids. Sometimes it's teenagers and adults. So there are lots of different jobs out there. But now that we know what the requirements are, how to do that, let's just take a minute, and that's all we have, really, to talk about who are the ideal people. Like, what are the great qualities that we're looking for in these kinds of therapists?
Honestly, I think people who have enthusiasm for this, people who are interested in this. People who are interested in the special needs community, people who are upbeat, and energetic.
Yeah, I always like to say, this is not an easy job, and it's certainly not a job for everyone. But I have seen people that, and maybe they didn't even have that much interest in autism. I always used to say that if somebody's passionate about anything, like if you're passionate about music, I know you can be a good therapist because that passion transfers really easily once you get with the kiddos. And when you take your passion and you play something on a xylophone for a kiddo who lights up, then it all gets really exciting.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's out there who wants to make a difference, and you don't want to just be saying, would you like your fries supersized? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is your time.
Yeah.
And just because you're 19 or 20 or 21, this is still your time. And when you're working, and we all have to work because everybody needs a wage, why not have it be something that adds to your life and adds to somebody else's life? So I think if you are somebody who cares about that kind of stuff, if you're somebody who I just want to punch my ticket, come in, put the fries down, not have to think about something, this is not your job.
No.
But if you are a thinking person who cares about the world and gets passionate about stuff, don't get the fast food job. Get this job, work towards your career. And there are, you can be a therapist while you're working to get your other degree and leave at the end of that and have that job experience and have it add to your resume, and that's fine. Lots of people do that. But there are lots of people who stay and discover, hey, along the way, there are all kinds of ability to move up.
Yeah.
All kinds of perks, ability to travel if that's what you want to do. You want to go to Dubai for a year? That's a real possibility that you can, nobody's going to force you to do that, but you can raise your hand and go, yep, I want the job in Dubai. Very exciting opportunities for all kinds of people. And especially, a lot of times it's women. Women come and do this job. And I think if you're thinking about being a mom and you want a flexible schedule later on to be a mom, perfect job. But we really want to encourage more men, don't we?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
For all of you moms that are out there that know young men who are college age who have something to add, maybe they're a great Little League coach, but they're working at Starbucks. See, Starbucks is going to think I hate them. But, I feel like we don't want to waste our
We've
youth.
recruited people from Starbucks.
We
Dr.
certainly
Granpichet has.
One of my favorite therapists on the planet, one of my favorite people on the planet, she recruited from Starbucks. Mm-hmm. And I thank the heavens above for that every day.
Yeah, he's still with us.
He's in QA, and he's my autism whisperer. And he went to Dubai for a couple of years. And we're talking about Peter Farrig, one of my favorite people on the planet. I've said before that if Peter said to me, I need a kidney, I would be like, come and get it. Come on, it's right there. Go for it. But in any case, there are jobs available. So again, go to the centerforautism.com.
Careers page.
Click on the careers, sign up. And right now, if you go to CARD's Facebook site, they have things that say we're hiring. I want to ask every parent that's out there, share that today. Just share that and put it out. I put out a thing a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, all of my friends that have college-age kids that you don't know where they're working or what they should be doing, why not have them do this? If you help to get one therapist, it's life-changing for like 4 families. Yeah. Life-changing. So do your karmic activity today and help get somebody a job and help a kiddo get somebody who's going to be there to help them to learn, don't you think?
Yes.
All right, anything we left out?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, so thank you for being here.
Thank you, Shannon, for having me.
Well, you have to come back now.
We will.
And next time I'll let you talk more.
Okay.
But in any case, help. This is a place where you guys can make a difference. Help to get more people hired for this amazing job. Be picky, but if you see somebody at a Starbucks that you think is just rocking it, that you think, wow, they would say something to them. Tell them. If you're in the drive-through at a fast food place, let's move those people into better jobs. Woohoo! And it pays better. It pays a lot better than that kind of a thing. And there's lots of opportunity to get paid more. So get that done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shannon.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to be back with Bonnie Yates, and we've got legal questions, so stick with us.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Hey, welcome back to Autism Live. We heard you. Everybody wants
macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, but we're gonna make it allergy free. But here's what's the crazy part of this macaroni and cheese. It's actually healthy.
And it tastes good.
Yeah, it tastes really good.
That's the most important part.
So we're gonna start. We got our water boiling. There's so many variations on the pasta. We're using today a corn pasta. We can verify with the manufacturer that we have a GMO-free product. So let's go ahead and put that in there.
Ooh,
and if you don't mind, stir that up for me, my friend.
Now it's sticking a little bit to the bottom.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
We maybe add a little more high heat oil and spread that around again. One thing you gotta know about gluten-free pasta, if you overcook this, it becomes mush. Let's move this guy over to the other burner so you can see what I'm doing. And now we're gonna start with the old macaroni and cheese sauce. What's great is there's a lot of choices for, different soups. And the way that I look at soups, and again, please follow the recipe on your screen right now. I don't like to measure very often, but what I like to use is a creamy butternut squash soup. So this soup is great because it adds a lot of flavor to the dish, but also gives people another serving of vegetables. With kids, we don't want to over season. Maybe with the adults, we can season some for the kids first, pull it out, serve them, and then add a little more, garlic powder or onion powder or other types of things into your dish. So the next most important thing on this recipe is we're going to add in a thickener and the faux cheese. Now some people like their sauce really thick, so you just add in more cornstarch or more arrowroot, so that's not a big deal. How's that doing? You think it's ready?
I think it's done.
Okay, so why don't we switch? I'll take that, you do that.
Okay.
And I'm going to strain this bad boy here. Here, let me turn that off.
Okay.
Or we're going to cause trouble again.
Trouble in Lisa's kitchen.
No,
that's another show.
Don't, yeah, right? So I'm going to go ahead, get this all strained. It's a good consistency. So I'm going to check to make sure our pasta is cooked. So really, you just want to make sure, just like any pasta, it's a little bit squeezy, a little bit. Nice. Dude, good job.
Hey.
We're good.
Looks yummy.
So even though the cheese is not totally melted, it's okay. Don't panic. What's important is that you're going to love this recipe once you eat it. What I enjoy most about this recipe is that it smells good, but this stuff is amazing. So if you don't mind, I'm going to serve you some up, and you can maybe blow a little bit on it so you don't burn your mouth. Sorry, I'm once a mom, always a mom.
Just like wait till I can.
I know, right?
But I can't wait. I'm excited.
So I'm going to give a shot of this too, but
oh my gosh, that is so good.
This is the ultimate comfort food. So
it's so good.
Isn't it good?
And I'm not just saying that; it is really good. It literally tastes like something our kids would really like, and that sweetness is really, really, really good.
So the bonus for us is that when we're serving this to our kids, they're actually getting a full serving of vegetables in this. So instead of just eating a bunch of carbs and worthless calories, you're actually getting some good stuff in this. And we'll be back next time. I hope you join us again here on Autism Live. We're really loving the feedback, and if you have additional feedback, here's how you get it to us. You can send it to us via email at autismlive@gmail.com. On Facebook, facebook.com/autismlive. And also there's thousands of recipes waiting for you to discover them with pictures and different things on the TACA website. So you can hit TACA on the web, tacanow.org, and we'll be back. Hopefully we'll get to do this again.
I had so much fun.
Maybe we'll have a little wine, but you got to join us next time. We'll look forward to seeing you then.
Bye guys, we're gonna keep eating.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Parent to parent, you might be asking yourself, how on earth can I afford ABA therapy for my child? Well, the short answer is you can't. No one can. It's really expensive and it's overwhelming to most families. But the story doesn't end there, fortunately. The first thing that I want you to think about is tapping insurance resources. So many insurance companies are paying for ABA therapy right now. So that's your first best bet. Make sure and see if your insurance company is providing benefits for ABA therapy and check back often. Now, if you see that you don't have insurance right now for ABA, don't panic, there are still other resources. The next place to go is to your local support groups and ask them what local resources there are. That's a great place to ask for information because often states and even counties have support for ABA. And then beyond that, you might consider applying for grants. There are many fabulous grants out there to help you to get support for your ABA therapy. But most important, it's absolutely essential that you get ABA services for your child. We know that that's essential for all of our children and that you won't be able to do it on your own. So seek out those services and support groups that will help you to fund your ABA journey. It's really important to remember that all behaviors happen for a reason. Parent to parent, sometimes our kids will engage in certain behaviors that really seem random to us. We have no idea why they're doing it. It's really important to remember that all behaviors happen for a reason. And in fact, challenging behaviors happen for 4 reasons more often than any other reasons. The 4 reasons are attention. A lot of times our kids do things to get attention, and remember, negative attention counts. Another reason why our kids do things is to escape someone or something. A third thing is to gain access to someone or something. And the 4th reason is because it just feels good. So the next time your child is engaging in a behavior that seems random or strange or totally from outer space, stop and ask yourself which one of these 4 things might be causing it. Is it attention? Might it be to escape something? Is it to gain access to someone or something? Or is it that it just feels good? Knowing why the behavior happens helps us to deal with it. What is this ABA treatment I keep hearing everyone talk about?
It's every parent's desire for their child to have a great start in life. Yet there is a condition affecting more children's lives than pediatric cancer, diabetes, and AIDS combined. Autism strikes 1 in every 150 children.
Today, 1 in 110 kids in the U.S. will be diagnosed with autism. That is a huge jump from 30 years ago when it was 1 in 30,000.
Startling new report finds the number of children with autism is skyrocketing. The Centers for Disease Control estimates 1 in 68 children has a form of autism. Now that's a 30% increase in just 2 years.
Well, a lot of the children and all the accomplishments over the last 20 years, I'm thrilled.
I think what kept me was the
feeling that, you know, I would have a parent come to my office late at night at UCLA and just fall apart. And this is a long time ago, and there were much less back then in terms of services and knowledge and so on. And I would just sit with the family and the parents and walk them through and try to take away some of their fears, you know. And at that point I realized, I think the thing that's actually most important to me is that process. I mean, thank God that I've been very, very lucky and blessed to have so many incredible clinicians join me along the way and just develop CARD in such an amazing, magnificent way. That I could, you know, for me it was more really about how can I help the families? What can I do for the moms, the dads, you know? It is just, and I feel like, you know, there's no way I would ever really know because I haven't had my own child go through this, but I've experienced it with people a lot of times.
Hi, this is Megan. I'm in first grade all by myself. My teachers are so fabulous. I like to read books. I like to go to my friends' birthday parties. I like to invite my friends to my birthday parties. I once had a sleepover with a friend. I like to have play dates with my friend. I'm the best reader in my class. I like to go to the library. I like to read different series of books. And here's how I learned to do all these things. By my card friends and Dr. Grandpichet. Thank you, card friends and Dr. Grandpichet.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We have a new segment here on the show that we want to bring to you on a weekly basis. We're very excited that we're going to be having the opportunity to talk about legal issues. So I want to start by reading you a very necessary disclaimer that on this program we receive a wide variety of legal questions from all over the world. We're happy to have an opportunity to answer them, but we want to remind you of the following caveats. That the individuals that we have that will be on the show offering some legal support are licensed only to practice in the state of California and the federal courts. Their answers, therefore, will not necessarily apply in the other 49 states or outside of the United States. Additionally, their legal advice is of a general nature and not intended to be relied upon in any specific case. Therefore, in the case of a specific legal problem that needs an individualized answer, please seek out licensed attorneys in your jurisdiction who are knowledgeable about education law and disability discrimination. We need to make sure that we're upfront about all that. But having said that, I want to welcome to the show Bonnie Yates. She's been on our show before. She is an amazing autism mom. She is someone who is awesome, I know firsthand, in the field of special education law. And Bonnie, welcome back to the show. Tell us the name of your law firm that you are with.
Good morning, Shannon. The name of the firm is Kirji and Chow LLC, and we're based in Culver City, California.
And we're so excited and thrilled and really deeply appreciative to you and to everybody that you work with for donating your time to do this and to help people by talking about these important issues. But before we get into our first question, Bonnie, I wondered if you could take just a minute to talk a little bit about your background, which is part of the reason why I love you so much, because you come to this field with quite a resume. So talk for just a second about what your background is.
Will do. So my son Nick was 4 in 1994 when he was diagnosed with autism. So I got drafted. I was practicing a different kind of law. I started doing some work for CARD, believe it or not, and then branched out into special education more generally. And so I got a very good education at the feet of a lot of the, best autism practitioners in the world, and went on to represent many parents in lots of different disputes with lots of different districts in the regional center.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we picked a couple of questions, and of course I'm having all kinds of technical difficulties, but we picked a couple of questions that we wanted. Do you want to take the question about bullying first or about IEPs and services?
Well, let's take them in the order you posed them.
Okay.
I think we have time to answer both.
Okay, and because I've failed you horribly, Bonnie, that I'm having computer problems here. So I'm gonna, I don't have the question specifically in front of me, but I remember it well enough that I can paraphrase that we've had multiple people writing in about individuals on the spectrum. They're students who are high functioning, that they are wanting for them to be in general ed. And we had one parent write in specifically about her daughter, that she wants her daughter to be in a general ed setting, but because of the school setting, the school is not entirely up on inclusion and the idea of inclusion. So they have said that there are only 3 choices: that the child can be in general ed with absolutely no support, the child can be in general ed with an RSP class where they get support during their elective period that is outside of the class to get them caught up on the things that they missed, and it is the school's preference that they move this young woman to a setting that is a special day class that has 15 boys in it, and no other girls. And this mom thinks that that is wildly inappropriate for her daughter, who has been included through all of her years of education, and doesn't think that that kind of a setting would work for her. So she's wanting some advice about what, if it's supposed to be an individualized education plan, and this mom particularly wants to know, does a school have to make a plan to fit her child, or do they get to fit her child into these 3 programs that they have?
Okay. So it's a little bit like a law school exam. It's almost like somebody wrote the question to purposely illustrate how absurd these disputes with the school district can be or something. The question is really asking whether the student has a right to an individualized education program, and also whether the student has a right to be educated in what's known as the least restrictive environment. There's a preference in the law, wherever possible, for students to be educated with non-disabled peers to the greatest extent possible, as long as it's not too disruptive for the class. So this particular mom, she's from Southern California. So if we look at it under California law, what we clearly see is that there is this right to an individualized education plan, and there is a right to be educated in the least restrictive environment. Now, sometimes what happens is people don't realize that right, the right to be in the least restrictive environment, means that if you need supports and services to be successful in the classroom, you're entitled to them, if the alternative would be instead that you had to be educated in a special day class. So it's illegal for the district to put her in a special day class just in order to avoid the cost of a one-to-one aide or a skilled behaviorist. And so, part of the analysis would be, whether a group of 15 autistic boys as classmates in a special ed class would be the least restrictive environment, and obviously it would not be, as long as she can function successfully in the general ed class with support. And part of the reason there's this preference for the least restrictive environment is the notion is that she would really benefit, all students would benefit from modeling the behavior of neurotypical peers, and you're less likely to get that if you're in a special day class. But we see these cases all the time where the fight is about what really needs to be done so the student can be included in the least restrictive environment. And districts usually have to be, told that A, I know what my rights are, and B, I'm going to insist that my daughter can be successful if you give her proper support. And then I just kind of wanted to close by saying there are a lot of resources on the internet now for parents that do a very good job of discussing these basic concepts. I wanted to mention 2. One is called Rights Law, WRIGHTSLAW, and that's kind of a multi-jurisdictional source of information that talks a lot about these different, education problems as they come up, and that this one would be one of them. The other is something that's particular to California. It's put out by a disability rights organization. It's called Student Rights and Responsibilities, and it's a great book. It's basically an online series of questions about, what do I do if, or is it correct that? And I found it to be really well written and sophisticated too, but not inaccessible at all. So I highly recommend that. And that's how I'd answer the first question, Shannon.
Well, I love that. I love that answer. I know firsthand that sometimes when you're sitting and talking to a school district, that they speak with such authority about, well, here are the programs that we have, and it all sounds reasonable. And thank you for reminding us that it is called an individualized education plan, and that's what our kiddos have a right to, and that we have a right to say back to the school district, I know what my rights are, and that is what our children are entitled to. So thank you so much for that answer. I want to move on to the bullying question. That we had a mom write in and talk specifically about the fact that her child, who has an autism spectrum diagnosis, is coming home and saying that there are children that are bullying him at school, and that when she goes back and talks to the teacher about it, that the teacher says that she's not seeing it, and if she can't see it, then she can't do anything about it. I know that a lot of us are concerned about bullying, and that we hear all the time from schools that there is a zero tolerance, but this is not the first time that I've heard a parent say that when the teacher says, oh, well, I didn't see it, it's as if it didn't happen. So help us to know what do we do and what are our legal rights in this circumstance?
Okay, I'm going to take a stab at that. So it's a tough situation. My son was bullied mercilessly all through high school, middle school, and high school. And I was kind of perplexed too, because it did not go on in his classroom. It often went on outside, after school, walking home, whatever. But one day, the kids did it in front of me. And I thought, if they're so, emboldened that they will do it in front of me, it must be bad. So the answer to the question is, there's a consciousness raising that's been going on in the last 10 years about bullying, and people like me really didn't understand then that even if it wasn't occurring in front of the teacher or in front of the staff, that there were still things I could do. So there is kind of this increased awareness about bullying, but there's also an increased definition of what constitutes bullying, and it doesn't have to be an aggressive affirmative act. It can be an ignoring, an excluding. That happens a lot too. So anti-bullying laws and policies apply across the board in the classroom to all students, both regular and special ed students. And now, because there's been so much litigation, and everybody also has heard about the cyberbullying, which I'm not going to talk about now, but it's sort of an extension of the campus bullying. Most districts will have a written policy in their code of conduct, and we think all the districts should be doing this, but some districts are actually taking it seriously rather than just paying lip service to the idea of taking it seriously. And those districts are doing campus-wide sensitivity training to impart in the other students the notion that you have a duty to prevent bullying if you see it going on. You need to talk back, basically. So that would be in the better districts. And what you can do is go into your district's website and look at the code of conduct, and that will give you some ideas about what the district policy is on bullying. But the short answer is that there's something called a Williams complaint, which you file with your school superintendent and put the school superintendent on notice. You can also file a complaint, these should all be written complaints, with the Department of Education in your state. And then the final thing is you can file a complaint with the Office of Civil Rights. You have to make sure you do that within 180 days of the incident. All three, districts, state, and Office of Civil Rights, should investigate, they should issue written findings, and they should let you know what happens with your investigation. So even if you are only hearing about the bullying from your child and nobody else is reporting it, you don't have to take it sitting down. Now, in terms of the legality of bullying or the possibility of filing a lawsuit, you should be aware that there's different types of bullying, and those types of bullying have different statutes of limitations. So if you're serious about this, you want to have an attorney consult early on so you can protect your rights, because some of the bullying has only a 6-month statute of limitations, whereas if you are saying, my child didn't get a free appropriate public education because he was bullied, that's subject to the normal 2-year statute of limitations in California. So I just wanted to end by saying most attorneys that do either education law work or disability discrimination routinely have clients in for an initial consultation, and that consultation is free of charge. And I would really encourage parents to reach out and get that education. I think it'll help them a lot in terms of how to deal with the situation on the ground at school. And I just wanted to leave you with a couple of resources for that. Usually your State Department of Education will have a list of education attorneys that you can contact in your state. And then there's a great organization. It's called Council of Parent Attorneys and Advocates. It's abbreviated COPAA.net. And they're for the 50 states, and they would also have lists of attorneys that you could contact. So, you don't have to just suck it up. You can, be proactive on behalf of your child, and it's really not just for you, it's for the entire education community. We all want to go to school in an environment that feels safe to us. So that's how I would approach that problem.
Man, thank you so much. That's such useful information and stuff that I don't think I've heard anyplace else, Bonnie. So we thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. I'm going to love this segment. I want to remind everybody that if they're watching, that they can write in their questions. We like to get the questions well in advance so that Bonnie and the team of lawyers that she works with has an opportunity to look at them and respond, to you appropriately, and have some time to turn it over and think about resources to be able to give you. And this is a wonderful, wonderful service that you're providing to everybody. Tell them again the name of the law firm.
Sure. First of all, I wanted to say it's probably good for the lawyers to be asked these questions, because we need to be remembering about these things too. We get very tunnel vision with our specific problem. The firm is called Hirji, Hirji, and Chau, CHAU, LLP, and we're in Culver City.
And do you guys have a website that we can send them to if they want to get more information or have a consultation?
Yes, we do. We absolutely do, and you can also give us a call if you want to.
Okay. Do you know the website off the top of your head? I should have asked you.
If they just Google the name Rosa, R-O-S-A, Hirji, H-I-R-J-I, they will find it. We're kind of redoing the website, so I'm not sure which phase it's in. And then the phone number is 310-391-0330, and we love to talk to parents.
Fabulous. Bonnie, thank you so much for all the work that you have done. I have to say personally that you have helped me on several occasions to make sure that my son got a free, appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment, and you've made a tremendous difference in our lives, and I know you have in so many other people's lives, and I'm thrilled that we're having an opportunity to do this because I know that this is going to help people in untold ways. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for that, Shannon, and right back at you.
Well, I will talk to you soon, and thank you also for your amazing children, because you do have amazing children, more than one.
I agree. I'm not going to dispute that.
There we go.
Thank you.
Love that.
Have a great.
All right, thank you. You have a great week, and we'll be in touch about next week.
Sounds good.
Take care. Bye-bye. That was the amazing Bonnie Yates, and wow, I got goosebumps when she was talking about the bullying, because so many times people have written in, and it becomes quite the conundrum about what to do, and I feel more empowered than I've ever felt about bullying. So we are going to take a break right now. We're running a little bit late on some things. We're going to take a break and go to the A word. I know that, like I said, we're running a little late on things, but we like to show that to you, this week's edition of the A word. Remember that this is a series following a little boy, Jack Riley, who was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. He began his early intensive behavioral intervention with cameras on him and on his family and his growing family. So we get the opportunity, this gift that they gave us, we get the opportunity to look in over their shoulders and see just snippets of him learning and growing and the parents learning and growing as well. So take a look. This is the A Word.
What are you doing? He knows more about this than I do. It scares me. We're watching Happy Feet right now, and it has helped us in his feeding. As per a suggestion, we stop it and make it fun for him to take his next bite.
Take a bite. Take a bite.
Not only did he feed himself his applesauce and laugh the whole time, he fed himself 6 or 8 bites of soup, which he's never done. He's done that 2 meals in a row. So looking forward to today. We're hoping that we've made a positive change in his eating, but we will try it at approximately 12:30, I guess. We will do the same thing. I'll give him some soup and some yogurt with a banana chopped inside. And I will try to get him to watch this and sort of feed himself. Right, bud? Come in! Hi. Where are you?
Oh, hi. Hi, Jack Riley. I'm my friend. Do you remember her?
Miriam is a new therapist working with Jack Riley. Today, she's shadowing Jessica to observe and learn from her.
So right now I'm just going to probe to see what he knows, so I can find a new target for him. What is it? No, try again. What is it? Shisha. What is it? Shisha. I think he's saying airplane. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. What is it? No, what is it? Hey, you need to do work first and then you get the toy, okay? What is it? No, you need to look better. That's unusual. You need to look better, buddy. Nope. Try again. What is it? Oh, do you want your toy? Toy. Toy? Okay. Well, what is it? Shoe. Okay, thank you. What is this one? Snake. Good. What's this one? Door. Okay. What's this one? Hippo. Whoa, hippo. That's so good. Hippo. I think we're gonna do chicken. And then we're gonna be moving into matching soon, where we're gonna match 2D pictures to 3D objects, but we have to have mom and dad make the stimuli. So we're just gonna use like objects that are around his house, so that we have the object that we can match it to, so it's a lot easier. And then after he gets the identical, then we're gonna move into similars, so like different colored balls or different cars. Alright, bud, you ready? Okay. You ready? Ready? Give me 5. I got you. Oh, you're so easy to tickle. Hi. Give me 5. I got you again. You're so easy. Hi. Give me 5. I got you again. You're easy to tickle. Hi. Okay, one more time. I got you. Where's the tickle spot? It's right here. Okay. What is it? Say chicken. Chicken. Good. What is it? Chicken. Say chicken. Good. What is it? Chicken. Chicken. Good. Sit up though. What is it? Chicken. Chicken. Very good. All right. Here you go, kiddo.
Watermelon. Watermelon. Pineapple. 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 Watermelon. Watermelon. Super cool.
I know. We're going to be feeding now.
Shireen was here, so I just gave him pancakes.
Okay. And Happy Feast. All done. Well, you know, we didn't even start yet, kiddo.
How can you be all done, bud? We're gonna eat, right? Remember?
So, I'm going to try doing just to see.
So here's the
play.
pause,
Okay.
and there you can just hit the pause
Right.
again and it'll play.
Okay. So we're gonna take a bite, and then we get the movie. Take a bite and then you can have the movie.
Do you want me to try it? Ordinarily, he would have applesauce right now in his little. He'll feed himself.
He'll feed himself with that better than this?
Yes.
Has he fed himself yogurt?
He hasn't yet.
Okay.
We've done applesauce and then soup, and he started on the soup. He did a few bites on the soup after finishing the applesauce.
Okay. Maybe
Whatever you think.
applesauce would be better
Okay.
for today because it's preferred, right? Versus
Yeah,
yogurt.
it's something he's always fed himself.
Wanna try it?
After 10 weeks of ABA therapy, Jack Riley's therapists are now working on feeding. They waited to work on this skill until they worked on compliance with him, since feeding is such a huge behavioral problem. They wanted to make sure that Jack Riley would listen to them before they started working on this. In order for Jack Riley to watch the movie, he must feed himself a bite. And since it's such a preferred item, they are hoping it will motivate him to eat. This is new for Jack Riley, so therefore the tantrums are going to be much bigger because he's not used to this.
That's good. Nice job. You did it. Here you go. Nice job. There you go. All right, let's take another bite. One more bite. Wow, very good. There you go. Okay, take another bite.
People.
Yeah. Is Mambo there? Take another bite.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let me see. Oh, all right. That's good. So he does that. What happened earlier? It's really upset.
In the chair?
Yeah. And he'll just keep stepping in. And
Walk away.
walk away. Good eating. So yeah, just don't even say anything. And when he's done doing his thing, you can just present it again. If he still swats you away, that's okay, just walk away.
Okay.
Because even a part of it could be, the reaction. You guys.
Attention.
Yeah, the attention that he's looking for. And if you just kind of walk away, then he doesn't get any of that.
Right.
So hopefully that'll subside, and that's what it is. But we'll see. What works, what doesn't work.
Well, we had a great dinner last night with him because Cheryl does this dancing. She's goofier than I am, but and he just cracks up and eats. And she kept turning it off, but she made it kind of a game.
All right, you want some more Mambo? You want some more movie? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, happy feet. You give me a high five for eating all your applesauce. High five, you're leaving me hanging.
Jessica is giving Jack Riley verbal praise for finishing his applesauce because it motivates him. Feeding is a new skill for him, so each small step he makes is met with large enthusiasm. The hope is that the excitement that he sees from his parents and therapists will motivate him to do it again.
Right here. Ah, you got me. Want some more movie? Yeah? Okay. Here you go.
Jack Riley continues to tantrum, refusing to eat his lentil soup for about 15 minutes. All he's had to eat so far for lunch is applesauce.
Jack, want a cracker? Get something more in you, okay?
You can take over.
Okay. Alrighty.
I
Okay,
just wanted
bud.
to see if he would feed himself the soup, but that's okay. We can do that another
He
day.
might just be mad now.
Yeah.
You want to just take a bite? One bite. Now we'll watch this. You kidding me? Ding, 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 ding. I know. You have to earn it, though, huh? Life gets tough. That's how you get paychecks. You earn it. Right?
Whoa.
Whoa. Whoa.
When did you notice that he had a hard time eating? Like, it's always been like this ever since?
No, this is extreme. He's very finicky. There's certain things that we have no problem with. Usually applesauce for quite a while he would eat on his own. Then he stopped, and we've just gotten him back to doing it again. Obviously pancakes he devours in the morning on his own. We just tear him up and he eats them by himself. But new foods and just if he's not in the mood. I feed him probably most of his lunches because I'm home during the day more often than Cheryl is. And she's more apt to feed him dinner. She probably does a better job than I do, but we do it a little bit differently. But this is extreme, to be this upset at his soup. I don't think he's digging the fact that the movie's just not on. Usually he just gets to watch the movie, and we haven't really tested him on that.
I'm so proud of this family and the things that they went through and the fact that they let us take a view in. And really I'm proud of the whole family, but in particularly, I have just so many great things to say about this dad. First of all, that he clearly shows up for his kids. Whew, does he show up for his kids? And he is also willing to be humble and admit it when he's, having a hard time, which is the truth. And anybody who has been through this kind of an intervention who would say that it wasn't hard and that there weren't times that they were having a hard time, well, I just can't believe that. I don't know anybody that could be true. Maybe there's somebody, I don't know. Maybe if Gandhi had a child with autism, I don't know. I don't think so. I think Gandhi would be like, oh, there are parts of this that are really tough. And I love that we have this whole series now so that you can take a look and see not just this moment, but you can see the final episode that we've done thus far, because I hope at some time when Jack Riley is 10 that we're going to be able to videotape again with him. But to be able to see the arc, to see where everybody ends up, where dad ends up, where mom ends up, where this beautiful boy ends up, where his sister ends up, in terms of making their peace with ABA therapy and making their peace with autism and what it means and what it doesn't mean. But I don't think anybody's ever done. Let's not say that in terms of figuring out what all of this means. But Jack Riley's progress is and continues to be amazing. And really that's attributable to his entire family. So I also want to say too that there are so many different things and different issues that children have, and I think among the most difficult for me, if I were to have to say, the 3 top hardest things for people are when a child won't eat. Because food is love, we all know that, and if a child won't eat or can't eat, it's one of the ways that we connect with each other. It is a social thing, but it is a medical thing, and when we have to worry about if they are physically okay, that is another level of stress, right? And then right up there with that are self-injurious behaviors, because it's so hard to look at, and it brings up so many emotions when somebody is hurting themselves, and then of course when somebody is aggressive towards other people. really, really hard. All of those things come under the heading of emergency for me. But even as I'm saying that, I'm thinking about elopement, which also comes under emergency for me. And with all of those things, functional communication is one of the key things that is worked on to start working on any of those things, functional communication. So for those of you who are like, well, you know, I've got a nonverbal child, and I think that that's right up there, I want you to know that for any one of those 5 things, what any good ABA therapist working with an individual with autism would begin by working on functional communication. Because we know that any intervention that we do will be harder if the person doesn't have the ability to be able to express what's happening for them, including food, right? You know, we can try to get a child to eat one thing, but if they have the ability to communicate and eventually say, I don't want to eat that thing, but I'm willing to eat this thing, and that can be said in lots of different ways. It isn't just verbal. So, but the food thing is hard, and I know that many of you write in, and it's a tough thing. It requires a great deal of patience, and it requires help and support almost always. That it's a really tough thing for a parent to do completely on their own, because food it's considered a primary reinforcer, because it's so necessary every day for each one of us, and it's reinforcing and personally for each one of us. But when it isn't, there's also an emotional component to it. So for instance, you know, we have memories with food, right? That, you know, maybe you have a great memory of eating tater tots, and that it just has a warm, fuzzy feeling to it. Oh, eating tater tots with ketchup on them, right? That's like, you know, a great childhood memory for you. And then anytime you eat tater tots, it's like, oh, it's comfort food, right? Because you're having that memory to go along with it. Another person can have a really horrible memory around tater tots. Think about the last thing that you regurgitated and how quickly you ran back to eat that, right? That you're like, oh, no, thanks. I love me some tater tots, but since, you know, I tossed my cookies and it was tater tots the last time, I don't think I want any tater tots. It's emotional is what I'm saying. And, you know, for a parent, if you're there with your child and there's an emotional past with every single meal that you've ever eaten, and to try to break that down and at the same time introduce new foods and have a child get over whatever their issues are, whether it's physical or emotional or mental with a food, it's really, really hard, and it requires a great deal of patience. And I don't know very many parents that could do that completely on their own. So really want to encourage you to go easy on yourself and be kind to yourself when you're working on a food intervention, and that you get some help and support. And there are lots and lots of good support that's out there to help you to do it. And you can make progress. Jack Riley, I know from the last time that we saw him, great eater, eats a variety of foods, and is happy about it, and sits at the dinner table with his family and feeds himself like any, you know, kid his age. So it's totally possible, but it took some time, and that was really hard on this family. It was really hard on them, but worthwhile. It's all worthwhile. All right, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back with a mindfulness moment, and then we're going to talk about this insurance issue about why is the tail wagging this dog. All right, but back with mindfulness. Stick with us. Welcome back. You know, every Thursday we try to take a couple of minutes to talk about mindfulness, how we can be more mindful. And the purpose really for me, and looking at it from a point of view as a member of the autism community about why do we want to be more mindful? Well, we're all entitled to live the best life that we can lead. And we know that that comes when we have less stress, right? None of us wants to be so stressed that you can bounce a quarter off of your head, right? Right? And by the way, it isn't just the parents in the autism community. We want to reduce the stress on everybody in the autism community, the people working with individuals on the spectrum and the people who are the individuals with the autism spectrum diagnosis themselves and everybody in between. Let's all be happier and lead happier, more fulfilled lives that have less stress in them, right? We know it's medically better for us to have less stress. So today I'm going to depart just a little bit. We've talked a little bit about meditation and breathing and those kinds of things and the way to focus our mind on one thing, to be in the moment and how important that is. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the dreamier side of things. And some people call this a magic trick. I don't know about that, but we know through studies that have been done that what you focus attention on is ultimately what usually has the most movement. And there are lots of different phrases that go along with this. I love Abraham Lincoln said that most people are as happy as they make up their minds to be. I'm murdering the quote slightly, but you know what I mean? So what you focus on, what you look and see, is what you're going to notice. I particularly love in my life the phrase about, you know, what you think becomes what you say becomes what you are. So, and other people say, you know, change your mind, change the world, those kinds of things. So if you were to say for yourself for today, like, what would you like to see happen? And it can be something that's personal for you. It could be something that's personal for your child. It could be something that's global for the world. You know, you can think big, small, or anything in between, right? But what's something that you would like to see? And if you take just a moment in your mindfulness moment to breathe and to focus on that. Now, some people are visual, so they can bring up a screen in their mind and they can picture it in their mind. Other people struggle with that. And for those people, they like to put a picture in front of them that represents whatever that thing is, and that's perfectly acceptable. But it means just taking a minute in your day and focusing on whatever that thing is. And then, first of all, you want to check, how do you feel at the end of focusing on that thing? So let's say that what you said is, what I want $1 million, right? I want $1 million. So you picture in your mind $1 million. But you might find that there's like a part of your brain that rejects that. Because like a thought will come up in your head about, well, you know, I don't want to just, like if you're picturing money on a table, well, I don't just want money on a table because how am I going to get that money to the bank and I'm going to get robbed on the way, right? If your head starts bringing up negative thoughts, hone your picture to something else. Don't get into a discussion and an argument with yourself about, well, but you know, I'm sure I can, with $1 million, I can rent an armored car, right? Don't get into that discussion. Just hone your picture. So maybe instead of having the discussion, you picture, you know, the $1 million in the armored car, whatever it is. But just take a minute in your day to picture that thing. So here's the weird and wonky thing is that they have done studies on this kind of thing, and they've found that a lot of times people are able to manifest the thing that they focus on. Now, you know, I know I just lost some of you who are like, well, if I sit and picture $1 million every day, $1 million isn't going to just show up. And I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But if it's something that you really deeply care about, and I think what you'll find is if you keep picturing $1 million, at some point you'll go, oh man, I don't really want the $1 million. I want what it feels like. I want the freedom of what $1 million feels like. I don't want all the trouble that comes with $1 million. I want to feel that feeling of, you know, oh, being able to give. And then you find yourself picturing giving, and then you find yourself thinking, wow, well, some of that I can actually do, and then you find yourself giving more. Do you see what I'm saying? So it isn't that it's the magic trick that you just think about it and it shows up, but what it does do is when you really figure out the thing that sings to you, that you find yourself when you picture it, you feel better and you feel like it's easier to breathe. And when you're done thinking about it for a minute, you're happy. And if you think about whatever that thing is on a regular basis, you will feel yourself starting to take action, that little tiny actions that help you to get to that thing, and that sometimes obstacles go by the wayside to help you to get to that thing. That's where the magic trick is that sometimes obstacles melt away. But let's face it, it always takes some action. But paralysis is something that comes hand in hand with stress. And sometimes if we don't know what to do or what we want, we get paralyzed. So I'm asking you to take a minute today. Think about something that you'd like to see show up in your life. Think about it for a minute, just a minute. And again, either visualize it in your head or get a picture that represents it to look at. Quietly center your breath, spend a minute, and then take stock at the end of that minute. How do I feel? Do I need to change my picture? Is this really the thing I want to spend a minute on? Because if it is the thing, you're going to want to spend another minute on it. And then once you find the thing that you want to spend the time really taking a meditative moment on, take note over a week about what changes and what gets out of your way, and if you get more excited. It's really a powerful, powerful thing. Kind of like a magic trick, but not in the way people think it is. It's not just going to show up, but things rearrange in your head and it starts to feel possible. And that is a powerful, mindful way to be. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about this insurance thing that's going on the top of my head. It's going to roll around. All right, stick with us. Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, and we're at the ABCs and XYZs of Special Needs Conference. And this year, for the first time, they've got something really remarkable. It's the Entrepreneurial Boutique. These are all items that have been made and are being sold by individuals who have special needs. So we're going to do a little shopping and talk to some of these fabulous entrepreneurs. Come on.
My name is Molly Rarick, and I'm founder of Breed's Gift. We're a nonprofit that serves teens and adults with special needs, like Chase here. We were founded in 2013 and serve people in the Conejo Valley, Santa Barbara, and LA.
Our main objective is to give our participants the skills they need to gain a more independent life.
My name is Shelley Cox, and Lisa Zalagi and I are founders of Creative Steps and Create Micro-Business Enterprises. And the items that we're selling here today are all made by the clients who have passions about what they want to make, and then they get the profits from what they make after we've paid all of the other expenses.
We are here today because my goal is to be independent, and also I would like to share all my artwork, and I would like to sell.
Thinking about at his young age being a businessman, it's amazing. I cannot be more proud.
Welcome back to Autism Live. Okay, time to dig in and talk a little bit about some insurance. So we've battled for the last few years to get insurance mandates in as many states as we can in the United States that say that autism services need to be covered by insurance. And we're getting closer and closer to having all 50 states. We don't yet. But in the interim, more and more insurance companies are starting, even if you're in a state that doesn't have a mandate for insurance reform for autism, more and more insurance companies, because they're not just in one state, and if they're covering it in Arizona, they're seeing that it's going to be a logistical nightmare for them to not cover it in another state. So it's possible, even if you're in one of those last few states that doesn't have insurance reform, that your insurance is covering it. Now, little caveat here, even though know, like for instance in the state of California, there's an insurance reform, which means that if you have insurance, it has to, cover ABA. But asterisk here is that there is a lot of stuff that's out there that we all think of as insurance, but it's not really. They're self-employed, self-insured plans, self-funded, that's the term I'm looking for, self-funded plans. So if you work for a big employer, in all likelihood, they have self-funded insurance. So it's not really insurance. They're paying for it. And they're taking on the risk, so it's not really insurance. It may be that it's administered by an insurance company, so it looks and quacks like insurance, but it's not really insurance. And that's why some of you still don't have access to insurance. So just have to put that out there. But even for those of you who do have insurance, the new problem is that each insurance company is deciding what the codes are, and right now they're temporary codes that under which someone can bill for autism services. So if you go and you get your child assessed, that is a series of codes for the different tests that your child gets done. And when they do a certain test, then they put it in your insurance, and it's, a certain code, and then they can bill it, right? And without a code, it can't be billed. But here is the problem, that a lot of insurance companies who are trying to get up to speed, and let's, think as positively as they can, that they want to be as up to speed as they can. I know it's a stretch, but let's go there. They are not ABA providers, and they are consulting with people, but what we see clearly is happening is that there are some things that are medically necessary by any good quality ABA provider's standards that should be delivered that there's just no code for, right? So it can't right now be billed. And it's a wide variety, and across different insurance companies, it's different things. But for instance, when somebody is trained to do ABA, they get a certain amount of training, but every child is different, right? And so you're going to give broad-based training and CARD gives great broad-based training for individuals to be able to do therapy. But then there are certain things that you need to know about a child in order to be able to work safely and effectively with that child. And in the field of ABA, they've had these, and many companies call them different things. CARD calls it an overlap, where there's a period of time where a more senior therapist who has experience working with this child or client on the autism spectrum will be there at the same time that a newer therapist is there, so that they can train them to the child and go over things in real time and show things and then have them do things with the child and have that overlap. There are a lot of insurance companies that just don't want to pay for that. There is no code for that, so they're just not going to pay for it. So what their expectation in doing that, by saying that there is no code, that two therapists cannot be there at the same time, there's no overlap code, what they're saying is that either the individual doesn't get paid for that period of time, which doesn't seem like that would be working. I don't know very many people who are just like, yeah, I'll donate my time. And take time away from my studies and other things to learn how to work with this individual child. Or the parent has to pay for it, which is what happens a great deal of the time right now, that the parent gets stuck having their insurance pay for what is medically necessary that experts have said your child needs in order to do this. Doesn't make sense to me. But here's the rub. Insurance companies aren't going to change that until parents step up and say, that's not right. That is not right at all. The first time that, look at teaching hospitals where, there is a surgeon who's standing there and doing surgery on a brain, and they've got students standing there with them, and then they go, here, come here, watch what I'm doing, and now you take over what I'm doing. This is the way that the medical field works. And if somebody said, oh, by the way, your surgeon today for your child, for your brain surgery, is going to be somebody who has never watched another person do it and has never had the opportunity to do it with somebody mentoring them, we'd all freak out completely. wouldn't we? But the problem is that when ABA providers are going back to the insurance companies and saying, this isn't ethical, this isn't right, and we shouldn't put the expense of having to do this medically necessary thing on the parents, the insurance companies are saying, what? That's funny. We haven't had any parents complain. We haven't had a single parent write to us. Yes, that's what's happening. So I want to urge everyone within the sound of my voice to do two things. And I know it's going to take you a minute to do this, but we need to add sticks to the fire so that insurance companies know that this isn't going to work long term. I need for you to talk to your ABA provider, whoever that is, and say, what are the things that are medically necessary for my child that currently are non-billable, and that's the phrase you want to use, that are currently non-billable with my insurance. They'll give you a list. They'll be thrilled to give you a list. Tell them, I'm planning on writing a letter to my insurance company and letting them know that this is inappropriate. And then all you have to do is write to your insurance company and say, here are the things that you are currently not covering and listing as non-billable, and it's the list that your ABA provider gave you, and say to them, this is not appropriate. And I want you to know that I don't think this is appropriate and I should not be held responsible because these things are medically necessary, that a doctor has said that my child needs to have this therapy. We need a bunch of people to write these letters. I'm going to come back to you after the first of the year and we're going to get some legislation passed, but it falls to us. This is that thing that I was saying, like, don't wait for somebody else to do it. We need everybody to step up and write that letter. Write it now. You gotta get informed, and you might as well, because I'll tell you what, you're gonna get stuck paying for this. So ask your ABA provider, what are the things that are non-billable? It's a good question to ask. And then immediately take that list. You can write a sentence before, dear insurance company, we have laws that say that, and you've said that you're going to fund it. So why aren't you covering these things that are medically necessary, however you want to word it? We'll work on getting a form letter that you can plug those things into, but tell them this isn't right. I shouldn't have to pay for this. And I'm not going to stand for it. Right. And then I'll come back to you after the first of the year. We'll get some legislation passed. Let's get this turned around. It's just another way that they're not stepping up and taking responsibility. So that's my feeling about all of that. I want to take just a second here to talk to you guys about the shows that we've got coming up. We've got some amazing things that we're working on, and this week in particular on Sunday, Samantha and I are going to be in Downey this Sunday for the first time ever. There is a Disability Pride Parade that is happening in Downey, California. And there are going to be people with all abilities that are going to be there, including individuals who are on the autism spectrum. I'm going to be there with my son, and as I said, Samantha's going to be there, and a lot of our friends that we have that are regulars on the show, some of the performers that you've seen on the show, some of the young talent, some of the leaders, movers and shakers. We're going to be there because there's a march to say that in this election that we feel very strongly that disability rights are something that have to be taken into consideration. I hope that on Sunday night you guys will watch the debate right now, because this is the town hall debate. They are asking questions, and you can vote on what questions you would like to see covered. I think there are 5 questions that they're going to take that get the most votes. So it's tough because there are so many disability questions in there, and I think that a lot of people are like, well, I'd rather they ask this question than that question, and what's happening is that we're splitting the vote all over the place, and other things are going to get asked. The question that is the most broad-based is, what will your administration do for disability rights? So I want to encourage everybody. There might be a question that you'd rather have answered, and I, for one, would rather have an autism-specific question. But if we, nobody can agree on which one. So I want to encourage you, look at it, pick the one that your conscience says. Let's at least get the votes registered. But I do want to encourage you to pick one that, that a lot of people, so we can have a chance of having it asked. But either way, I hope that if you're in Downey, you'll come and be a part of this parade. The other thing that's going to happen on this march is that they're going to be registering individuals who have different disabilities at that march and showing them, taking them into a practice booth to show them how you use the utensils that are there. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, but my child who's on the spectrum, you know, they're 12, I want to say to you, like, don't wait until their first time that they're going to vote. Start early. I've been taking my son to the voting polls every single time since he was born. And he goes with me, and he watches. Here in California, we have the little stampers that looks like a pen, but it leaves a thing. And he sees me pull it out and wave it and check that my dots are in the right place. And, you know, when it's his first time to vote, he's going to be all ready and excited to go, because we always make it a treat and we get the sticker and, you know, teach your kids to vote. And I hope that you guys will vote as well. It really, it's a right that so many other people would give their lives for and have given their lives for. So vote, vote, vote. And if you're in town in Downey, come and be with us. And be a part of that, and definitely make sure that you tune in for the town hall debate. But we've got some other exciting things that are happening on the show. We just this Monday spent the day filming with a new series that we've got coming up with Christina Adams, author of A Real Boy, and we're excited about that. We're filming some other things as well. We have got a nutritionist who is amazing that we're about to film an entire series with, that we're really excited to bring to you as well. And we've got some more guests that are going to be joining us in the coming weeks as we go lead up to Denim and Diamonds. And it's not that far, you guys. The Festival of Toys is just around the corner. So be thinking about and writing to me if there is a toy that you particularly, that you're affiliated with, or that you know of, or that your child particularly got enjoyment and education and that it helped them. We want to know about these toys, because we will reach out to the manufacturers to feature them here on the show. So many other things that I want, and more than I can possibly remember in this moment. But I do want to say how grateful I am for the time that you guys spend with us, how filled with hope I am when we hear from you guys, when you write to us and you tell us that we're with you and that you feel that we're with, because we feel like we're with you. I gotta say, you know, it's always that thing, si se puede, right? Let's hold hands. We can do this. Sometimes it's overwhelming, right? Sometimes it feels like there's just too much to be done, and honestly, that's the truth. That's the truth, and we're not going to candy coat that, sugarcoat it, anything. But I can't do it all. You can't do it all. But I'll tell you what, if you do your part, I'll do my part. And if everybody does their part, that's how we get there together. We hold hands and stuff happens. Yeah, I don't know that there's ever an arrival. I think that's life. I think that, you know, we're never going to get to a point and go, look, we made it. Because there's always going to be something more to be done. But maybe that's the gift. Maybe the gift of going, okay, there's more to be done, is what keeps us up and keeps us pumped and ready to go. So ask yourself today, what do you want to manifest? Do your little mindfulness moment about what you want to manifest, and show up for yourself, show up for those around you, and be counted, right? Whether that's voting or something else. But I know that there are people watching right now who don't have the ability to vote and who are really thinking, oh man, there are people out there who would squander that. Let's, in honor of ourselves and everybody who fought for us to have the vote, and everybody who doesn't get the right to speak, right? Let's be the voice. I thank you so much. We'll be back next week. Nancy Allspaw Jackson will be here. Oh, you know what else we didn't say today? A very happy birthday for Amy Zhang. We've had Amy on the show. She is the amazing person who gets so much done at ACT today. So we have to say a very happy birthday to her. But in any case, we will be back next week, and Nancy Allspaw Jackson will be here, as will Dr. Doreen Granpeche. We've got some really exciting stuff coming for you, and we'll let you know what happened at the Disability Rights Parade in Downey, California. Don't want to miss that, and please write into us with your questions, your thoughts, and your concerns, and let us know what you thought of the legal segment. We're out of time, but until the next time, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.